there's been no better time in history to start a small business, like no better time. Like I'm helping multiple friends start businesses. You can build a website, you can do everything yourself. You need such a small team to start to run your average small business. And you can kind of just do all the work yourself. And I think that that's like a really incredible moment that like things like Claude Code are starting to make possible.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. We have a special guest today, Brad. Let's see here. Brad, appreciate your jumping on. Where are you calling from today?
I'm based in Los Angeles, right here in Venice Beach.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. I was looking through OpenAirHomes, really strong design identity. How did that aesthetic direction evolve?
Ooh, so it started with the first home that we had. I had a friend design it. He's an Italian artist, actually. Basically, he designed my home. And when I decided to put it for rent on Airbnb, it was sort of the first home we had, left it exactly as is, like, so it looked like a real home. And I think this industry is kind of plagued by all these like sterile like homes that are just like very minimally done. Not minimal, because minimal could be nice, but like just like bland. And the first home we had was just like full of life and full of character without being themed, if you will, started the ethos of our brand. And then homeowners that had homes like that would reach out and want management, and then it just kept growing. So I think we're really lucky in that we're at a place where we can say no to people because we can get into it some more, but like this is really becoming a market of winners and losers. And we just want to manage homes that are succeeding.
Thank you for sharing. All right, so as we dive into your journey in business, don't worry about saying the wrong things. If there's anything you don't want to include later, just let me know and I'll remove it. Today's just a real conversation. Sounds good?
Great. Perfect.
All right. First, I'd love to understand your background and how open air homes fits into the bigger hospitality landscape.
How we fit into the bigger hospitality landscape? Yeah, so I would say we're really focused on like what I'll call affordable luxury. I think you kind of lose sense of what affordable is in Los Angeles. But, we're managing homes like we're not just like exclusively in the luxury space. We're doing homes that are also a little bit more reasonably priced. We're doing a lot of monthly rentals as well. A lot of the companies in our space, for various regulation reasons, like choose not to do monthly rentals. We kind of went the opposite path and leaned into that because for sustainability issues, for people traveling for longer periods of time. So we're a combination of short-term rentals and monthly rentals, and then we also have a brokerage that does real estate sales.
It's awesome. Let's see here. Can you share your role at open air? Okay, let me just see here. Yeah, I already asked that. Sorry about that. I'll cut this out. What does a typical week look like for you?
Well, it's been changing a lot. Now, I took over sales about 9 months ago. By sales, I mean new homeowners seeking management. I have a whole team that's working on the reservation side of things. So leads have gone through the roof, probably starting in June or July, and it just continues to pick up. So at this point in time, I see my role as like quality control of our portfolio because like having a great portfolio of homes helps us have our homeowners succeed and then we also succeed. Right now, it's a lot of sales. It's meeting with my teams, the different heads of different departments, so that we can discuss like their KPIs, their goals, and move forward on those types of things.
Are you more focused on brand, operations, acquisitions, or growth right now?
Mostly growth and acquisitions, right? Or we're not acquiring other companies, but mostly growth, organic growth. We don't have ads turned on whatsoever. 6 months ago, I was focused on like SEO work and just development of our website. Part of the reason I'm doing these podcasts is just for domain authority and stuff like that, and also just to be comfortable speaking and answering any questions that people throw at me. But yeah, so my major focus right now has been sales, just because that's the need of the business right now, where we just saw such an influx. We're hiring, so hopefully in the near future, I won't be working 7 days a week for 10 hours a day, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
What major shifts are you seeing in the industry, short-term rentals, in the industry short-term rental space?
I would say, it's the same with like Google 10 years or 20 years ago, where if I relate it to Google, everyone kind of, if your website was performing well on Google on page one, you were performing well as a website. And the same is now happening on these platforms. So if you can get your home to page one of these search results, you're starting to perform really well. I think the industry has matured, and not in every market, but in our market, supply has gone way up. And so when you have so much supply in the market, being on page one is really important. Page one or two. I mean, people will look through more homes. than they will look through Google search results. But being on page one is like critically important for more inquiries than not. And so that's really the major change that I'm seeing is that these algorithms are playing such a critical role in our success. And so it's a lot of data tracking. It's checking if a property is not performing well, what's going wrong with it, how can we correct it. It's a lot of work like that now.
Changing traveler expectations impacted your positioning.
Ask the question one more time.
How have changing traveler expectations impacted your positioning?
Well, traveler expectations are changing a lot, especially in our space. They're expecting a lot more. Kind of two things are happening at the same time. One is like, think about Uber 10 years ago, like you couldn't get a cord to charge your phone to save your life. Now, like they have cords and they have candy and they have water and they have all these things for you. The same is sort of happening in our industry where there's an amenity war happening where the more amenities you add, the higher perceived value. That's, but end of the day, people just want like a comfortable, clean home. But then, so there's two things happening, right? Which is just like expectations are going much higher. But then at the same time, you have a lot of travelers that maybe booked a home 5 or 10 years ago and had like the worst experience ever because one of the problems with Airbnb is like any mom and pop could host their home. And don't get me wrong, some are doing it insanely well, but a lot weren't. And also, Airbnb takes a little bit of fault for that too. Early days, they weren't as controlled as they are now about like their portfolio and making sure your reviews were good. So my point is that like 10 years ago, a lot of people had a really bad experience. And so they have a sense of like to really damper their expectations. And then it's really easy to impress those people. So we see a little bit of both where the experts that use it all the time have higher expectations. The people that are coming back to it and giving it a second shot, they're really cautiously optimistic that it's going to work.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Do you think STR space is becoming more institutional?
Institutional meaning like the platforms are starting to have like institutional type of I guess I'm trying to
Investors.
understand the
Yeah.
question. Yeah, I would say that the platforms are becoming institutional. I mean, Airbnb is publicly traded. I think as within any industry, I wish there was stronger competition. Airbnb does have competition, and all of us hosts that are larger like us have our own booking platform as well. But Airbnb is the juggernaut of the industry. And their market share continues to increase. It's sort of like going to Google. You go to Airbnb to find a home. I really would like to see VRBO get their shit together. If I'm being honest, like they really need to just figure it out. Like they're just a terrible platform. And by terrible, I just mean hard to use. User experience is bad. I know that they care about it and they're trying to like make this happen, but like Airbnb is just like running circles around them. And that's why people continue to come back to that site. So I would like to see there be more competition in the space, but we're like optimistic that VRBO is going to figure it out.
Okay. What's working really well for open air homes right now?
Lead generation is working extremely well. Setting pricing expectations with homeowners so that we can have success together is working a lot better. A lot of homeowners have very high pricing expectations of what they want per night for their home with more supply on the market. So we also operate a business in Palm Springs. And in 2023, we started to see a huge supply and demand problem where there was just a lot of supply and not enough demand to match that supply. And what happened in the process is like everyone brought down their rates and then you sort of had a race to the bottom. Occupancy suffered, everything happened. So we've been through that before. I'm wondering if we're starting to go through that again in Los Angeles. The algorithms in a way are helping us because our top homes are at the top of the search results. So they're less sensitive to pricing as we were maybe 5 or 10 years ago when now what I'm saying is that nowadays that there is more supply because of the AI algorithms, it's still pushing the top homes to the top of the search results. So we're not going through the exact same problems we were going through 5 years ago, but we've experienced it. So we know how to prevent against it if it does happen again where there's a supply and demand outbalance.
Where do you feel friction operationally?
It's a good question. I have a great team. Our tech stack is like there is no friction. I would say the main friction that I see would be guests have learned that they might have a budget of $300 a night, but they'll book a $500 a night house and they'll find any reason that they can think of to negotiate the price down. Part of me doesn't even want to talk about it because it's starting to become so pervasive and there needs to be a solution to it. But what's happening is you just get a lot of people that understand that this is the game and reviews matter so much. And I don't know what the solution is to it, but that's probably the biggest friction. You can have a group stay and it's the best experience of their lives and they're so grateful. The next group can come in, literally nothing has changed, and they'll find one leaf in an outdoor shower. I'm not joking, this happened to us. One leaf in an outdoor shower where there's trees all above, and he wanted a refund of like $500.
Jesus.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
Just like crazy stuff. So, that's I don't really know what the answer is to it because we do care about reviews. But, if I take that to a homeowner, they're just going to laugh at me. They're like, you want to give a refund for that? The home is dirty. And so, you face some of that. That would probably be the thing that has become the biggest challenge recently is just, and I think it happens also because of just like economic uncertainty. We want to be empathetic that like things are not going as well for everyone. They're going well for some people, but not for everyone. And so, we're seeing a lot of that.
Can you expand on that? Just overall operational frequency.
Yeah. The friction lies in that reviews matter so much. Like I'm saying, our top homes are at the top of the search results. The friction for me is that just like the economic uncertainty of life right now, where you have people that maybe aren't doing as well. Not all those people are really booking with us because our price point is a little bit higher, but still everyone's a little bit cautious with inflation going up and everything that's happening. We're just in a little bit of a polarized, little bit it's pretty intense right now in this country. Our team is trained on like being empathetic, listening to people's needs. And when things do go wrong, like we're giving a refund, like we want to give a refund. Like we don't, you know, homes are large. There's so many things that can go wrong in this home. Like in the background, there's lights, there's a AC, there's a heater, the power can go off. Like there's just so many things that can happen that can affect someone's stay. And we have a great preventative maintenance plan, but sometimes things go wrong, as in every homeowner that owns a home understands.
Absolutely. Which metrics are you most focused on improving? I mean, is it going to be occupancy, ADR, RevPAR, acquisition velocity?
Yeah, I would say occupancy is our main focus. What I've found with these platforms is if you drive the price up too high, again back to you're not on page 1, you're on page 6 of the search results, your occupancy is going to go way down. And so, when a homeowner joins our platform or before they do, we're sending them some pretty detailed charts of if we price your home here, we think we're going to hit 80% occupancy. If we price your home here, we're going to get 50% occupancy. We aim for 70 to 85% in Los Angeles occupancy. The market's at like 45 to 50%. We're able to hit that for the majority of our homes. When we're not is when a homeowner comes in and we say, hey, the price for your home is $500. And they're like, great, let's do 750. And it's like, okay, great. We'll get 15% occupancy for the year. If that's what you want, that's what you want. But, so we try to kind of encourage them that like, okay, you know, are you just hoping to slightly offset some of the cost of home ownership, or are you hoping to have this pay your mortgage and rent it out most of the time? And every homeowner is different. We're willing to kind of work with everyone no matter what they want. But, in an ideal world, they'll listen to us and understand that they'll actually make a lot more money if we price a little bit lower.
That makes sense. If you zoom out, what's currently slowing growth the most?
You know, this has been the strangest year. I've been doing this for 14 years. We're growing faster than I've ever imagined. I have a couple investors and I send monthly updates to the investors, and the numbers we're hitting, it's like it's starting to go hockey stick. It's starting to get, and like with no investment in terms of like ads. And so I can't really answer that question because it's like nothing really, to be quite honest. When you have a great team, they all know their roles. I would say really the only thing that like is not going as well is like I care about like my team, and some of them are working insane amounts of workload hours because of just all the growth that we're seeing. And so it can push them to a point of like not giving up, but just like it's a lot right now. And so, we've sped up hiring and things are looking better than ever though. So I think, the one thing is like sometimes we'll list a home too, and it'll just sit there for a month. And then all of a sudden, like the listing will feel stale through the eyes of the algorithm. And then just trying to find success is really hard from there. And so, really, pricing becomes critically important for finding success early on and then kind of building from there.
Okay. Where do you want OpenAirHomes to be in 12 months from now?
I'm from Orange County, so probably expanding into Orange County. You have a few brands in our space that have raised an insane amount of money and are just growth, all about growth. Good for them. I think that it's admirable to do that, but it's not really what I see for myself. We're growing at a great organic rate. We're going to add cities as it makes sense, but I'm not like looking to be a national brand. I think born and raised in Southern California, I love this place and I don't feel that to be successful, I need to be in Texas and be in Florida and to be all over the place. Like there are a lot of property managers doing this business really well. I feel like a local approach is needed. I heard the founder of the Onion, or not the founder, the CEO, the guy that bought it, he was talking about like, we don't need to be these masters of the universe that need to be like the largest company and sell for billions and all this. Like we can just be pretty happy running a successful growing business with a great team of people that are paid well. And, like we can kind of like reject this whole thing of like the Elon Musks of the world and everyone that feel that they need to be the top of the pyramid. Like I'm pretty happy, affect life and changes in my life of the people around me, the business, the owners that we work with and stuff like that. So yeah, long-winded way of saying we're growing. I'm happy about the growth, but I also don't see this need to be like a national brand that's competing in every market.
So basically, growth, continuous growth, but not anything crazy.
Yeah, I would say intentional growth is probably how I would put it. You know, listen, who knows? Like, I don't think in a year we're gonna. I know the headaches of getting larger and not having the support system that you need. And listen, it sounds enticing. We have had investors approach me to do things like this in the past, but then all of a sudden you have investors down your throat, and they expect returns. And I don't really see myself going down that path right now. Maybe when our metrics get really strong. And I know, because here's the thing that I actually genuinely care about this. Like, I want every guest to be happy in our homes. I think sometimes when you scale, that becomes harder. So if we're able to keep guests happy in our homes and be able to grow at a faster rate, I'm down to do that. But I'm not going to give up the happiness of guests in order to someday sell my company for $1 billion,
That makes sense.
you know?
Is the goal more units, higher margins, stronger brand equity, or something else?
I would say yes.
To all of them.
Yeah, more homes. I really care about my like peaceful, calm existence as well. And like I work crazy hours, but our industry has been plagued by party homes and just like nefarious actors doing pretty strange things that are corrupt. There's been a lot of that that's happened over these years. We've always sort of been like the ones that are following regulation and just like doing the right thing. And so by taking that path, like avoided anything related to anything like nefarious happening and just running an honorable business. And so I really, really value kind of like my inner peace that I have from running this, even though it's a lot of work. And so, I want to keep that going.
Okay. That makes sense. What does winning look like for you in 2026?
I would say all these new homes that we're taking on have guests in them and that we hit our targets. And I'm pretty good about giving some pretty conservative estimates of net return. If we can hit those or be above them, would be great. There's other companies in our space that if you come to them and say, hey, can you manage my home? I need to hit $15,000 a month. They might run the numbers and say you're going to hit $10,000 a month, but they're going to tell you, yeah, we're going to hit 15 for you. That's not me. Like, some people will come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I have $15,000 a month in expenses on my home. That's what I need to hit." And I say, looking at the numbers, we're going to be able to offset that, but you're not going to hit that. And so I set that expectation from the very beginning with homeowners so that they're not coming back to me in a year. And sometimes they'll like go work with a different company. Like, good luck. I'm busy. Like we're busy. But I set those expectations early because like I don't want angry homeowners. Like we don't have a single homeowner on our platform that's like yelling at me. Not a single one. And we have 75 homes. And that took a while to get to. There were definitely periods of time where they were frustrated. The industry was changing a lot. That's just a really great place to be at. Not saying that the things don't go wrong. It's just like when they do, how do we handle them? Is kind of what I'm all about.
All right. Let's switch gears here a little bit. You mentioned filling those homes as being, a really good goal for this year. If you had a magic wand, I could just fix one thing in the business that's holding you back or slowing growth. What would that one thing be?
Question. I really have an answer. I mean, you know, we've we've pivot, we've pivoted the business so much over the years, like, just so much because of changing regulations, because of this, because of this. Maybe I'm different than most people. I like regulations in our business. I think that regulations are critically important. If anything, it one might be just like slightly lessening regulations, but I also don't want to go back to a world where there's none because it brings in bad actors. It just like creates chaos in our industry. So it would probably be just slightly loosening regulations a little bit. I mean, listen, if Airbnb wanted to charge 10% instead of 15.5%, I would love that as well. But, you know, that's not happening.
That makes sense. Anything except regulations, anything actually which is, under your control?
What I've been obsessed with is like coding, using Claude Code. I've rebuilt Monday.com, Salesforce. In the past I spent $40,000 on Salesforce and the system was crap. And I rebuilt it in 3 days, um, for $140, and it's way better, way better. And, you know, I guess that's really kind of like what I've been focused on is like you see all these stock sell-offs of software companies, and a little bit is like overhyped, and it's probably too drastic what happened. But I think people are waking up to the fact that like as a small business, I can own my entire tech stack, and maybe not the entire tech stack, but a lot of it. Some of them are really useful tools that I want to keep, but like Monday.com, having that all internal now on a website that my team logs into, I can change it in real time if we need to make changes. You just don't need these software systems anymore. And so I would say, yeah, I don't know if this even answers your question because I'm just forget the original question, but like I'm really interested in like adopting customizable tech that we're using for ourselves that I own and that I build myself. And that's what I've kind of been focused on.
What kind of AI solutions do you have implemented or looking to implement?
Yeah, so like I was saying, the Claude Code for our CRM for our operations. Probably soon we're going to build that in for our reservations team as well. We're tracking everything so everyone can see productivity of everything. Probably soon here, I'm going to introduce an AI agent into I call it a CRM, but it's like kind of like the hub or the brain of our company. For like we have a team that's local, and then we have a team that's internationally based for reservations. For the local team, I'm building out a brain right now on Claude and giving the team access to that. I made the switch from ChatGPT to Claude and probably 3 months ago, I'm blown away. Like, I know I'm getting better at prompting. I know I fed it all a lot of the right information, but ChatGPT had a day where it just was doing something right for so long, and then all of a sudden one day it just stopped working. And no matter what I said to it for 3 hours, it wouldn't start working again to the way that I had been building things before. Switched over to Claude, and instantly I was like blown away with what it was giving me. Beautiful charts, everything just so professionally done. And so I think that that's the major change that I've made personally. Like I'll give you an example. A homeowner reached out today and said, "Hey, we're considering this rental for a year at $14,000. Can you look at the data from the past, year and give me a sense of whether or not this makes sense?" Took one screen grab of their results for a year, and then I put his email into Claude into this project that I have, and within a minute it built me out all these charts in a comparison of taking a year lease at 14,000 or sticking to the path of short-term rentals. And the level of sophistication of the work that it did was so professional. And like I even learned something in that process too. I knew that short-term rentals were the right choice for him, but the level of sophistication of these programs now, if you train them properly, is getting to a place where it's just, I was saying this earlier, like there's been no better time in history to start a small business, like no better time. Like I'm helping multiple friends start businesses. You can build a website, you can do everything yourself. You need such a small team to start to run your average small business. And you can kind of just do all the work yourself. And I think that that's like a really incredible moment that like things like Claude Code are starting to make possible.
Claude is really blowing up. I've heard about it, and I'm actually also using it, but not to the extent that I want to. It's quite incredible. Well, that was incredibly insightful. Thank you very much for joining the podcast. Well, let me just see here. Once we compile these conversations, I'll send you a summary. That was awesome. Nice
Yep.
talking to you. We'll chat soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye.